1, 2,
Welcome to the Mental Reps podcast featuring your host, Brian Wright.
I really find interesting your approach to life in general. I always see that you're out there hustling.
Our guest this episode is health and fitness expert and sports broadcaster, Zack Duarte.
2020 has just been curveball after curveball, man. I mean, once COVID hit, I had to find a way to stay occupied because I'm very much a person that's a go-getter. I don't let excuses stop me. I don't get thrown off track by too many things. So I had to figure out what the next step was.
This week's episode is sponsored by the Field Irish Pub and Eatery, a little piece of island in South Florida, as well as elite sanitizing services, keeping South Florida clean and in business.
I have a really good clientele that has followed me. I literally started in my garage with a battle rope, just a piece of like steel that was used as a sled, one medicine ball, and one kettlebell. And some resistance bands. That's all we had.
And a little calisthenics and a little sweat.
Yeah.
Now fade out that fresh as beat and let's get this bitch on the road.
Ahoy hoy! Welcome to Mental Reps Podcast. I'm Brian Wright. I hope you're happy and healthy. Thank you so much for listening, watching, supporting the show in all the ways. Can't thank you enough. We keep on growing, all thanks to you guys. So please keep it up. Make sure you're following us on the social medias. Share the podcast with your friends. You can also email the show at mentalrepspodcast@gmail.com. My guest today is Zack Duarte. He is a health and fitness specialist who you also might know him from 790 The Ticket, where he spent 10 years covering South Florida sports. I wanted to have him on today to talk sports, but I really wanted to talk to him about mental toughness, which he has in spades. He has a gym at his own spot where he works with clients, adapting to this whole pandemic crap. He participates in these Spartan races, which take place in Iceland, Sweden, all over the world. He's always on the move. The guy doesn't have any quit in him. Extremely focused and motivated, always has a positive attitude, mainly because he tests himself all the time. So tiny little day-to-day issues just don't faze this guy. Neither can a pandemic. As we always talk about on this show, the power of the mind, it's an incredible thing. We often think we're wired a certain way and adapt to it. And I'm a huge proponent of working your mind like a muscle to obtain better results. Our thoughts are more malleable than many people think. So I wanted to talk to a man who, in my opinion, does a great job of walking that walk, working each day to get better and better. I think, like me, you're going to be picking up what he's putting down, smelling what he's stepping in. I'm telling you, you guys are going to dig it. And he's also a professional sports broadcaster, so he really knows his shit. We get into all South Florida sports and a bunch more. And he's a sweetheart of a guy. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with my old coworker, Zack Duarte. But first, oh, come on, you should know by now. I have to tell you about South Florida's authentic Irish pub and eatery, The Field. Go to thefieldfl.com and enter code word REPS20 for 20% off your entire online order. It really is like a little piece of Ireland right here in South Florida. From the top down, only salt of the earth, top-notch human beings work at The Field. They really work hard to provide you with the best, safest, authentic Irish experience in South Florida. We're talking full bars. They've got Jameson, Guinness, Smithwick's, Irish car bombs, of course, and they have authentic Irish American cuisine, shepherd's pie, corned beef, cabbage, Irish potato soup, but they also have the steaks, chops, fresh seafood, something for the whole crew, plus live music 5 nights a week with real Irish music Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. They are extremely safe with the whole Pandy guidelines. Everything is being run on the up and up, so please go stop by The Field and tell them we sent you. It's at 3281 Griffin Road, Fort Lauderdale. 954-964-5979 is their number. If you aren't feeling up to going out yet, just go to thefieldfl.com and enter code word REPS20 for 20% off your entire online order. They'll even bring it out to the car for you if you'd like. Please take advantage of that. They've even got the mason jars and growlers so you can drive off with some booze, which again, super cool and acceptable now. Just wait until you get home to pop it open. But for real, don't sleep, Mental Reps fan. The Field is the Irish capital of South Florida, in my humble opinion. So please go to thefieldfl.com, enter code word REPS20 for 20% off your entire online order. Also, here's another great company run by amazing people. If you're looking for local sanitizing services here in South Florida, call ESS Elite Sanitizing
Services. They're state licensed and insured, offering local sanitizing services, which kill 99.9% of all the bacteria and viruses, including COVID-19. They actually provided their services to the field. Again, super safe and clean. If you need to keep your property, employees, customers safe and virus-free, let them help keep you in business, keep your employees working. They offer services for schools, churches, medical facilities, offices, aircrafts, yachts, public transportation, restaurants, gyms, homes, vehicles, and a lot more. It's kind of like you're running them through a big Purell machine. And now they're offering free sanitizing to vehicles of all first responders and medical professionals, which I just think is like a really cool thing for them to do. So please give them a call, 1-800-763-4299. Visit them at elitesanitize.com or email them at info@elitesanitize.com. Elite Sanitizing Services, keeping South Florida safe and in business.
All right, it's time to do some mental stretches. We're about to put in some work with the man himself, Zack Duarte.
What's up, buddy? Thanks for hopping on, dude. This is for you, Manny. Manny Fernandez.
I don't know how many people are going to get that. Maybe like 3 people will get that, but it's really
yeah,
fun.
I think only a couple people are going to get that. Man, Manny has been on my ass and your ass to take a picture together, do a podcast together, and we're very lucky to have fans out there, that are interested in what we do. But he is by far the biggest, I guess you could call him, super fan, and this one's for you, Manny. Anyway, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Mental Reps Podcast. My name's Brian Wright. I'm so happy to have my buddy, my ex-coworker on the show today, Zack Duarte, formerly of 790 The Ticket. What's up, dude?
What's up, Brian? What's going on, man? Really happy to be here, man. Thanks for asking me to join. I've been watching you have all these guests. Been some great episodes, so I'm really happy to join, and hopefully we get into some fun dialogue here.
Most definitely, man. I was looking forward to having a talk with you because I've been enjoying looking at your stuff on social media. I know obviously since this whole pandemic started, it's been cut back quite a bit, but you are one of those people that's always active. You're always doing something. You're always pushing the limits of what you could do. You're always doing these fucking Spartan races and these competitions all over the world, going to Iceland and shit. So, and that's pretty much the theme of this podcast, which is mental toughness, mental strength, finding out, those things that live within inside you that most people don't even know are there. They're kind of laying dormant. And if you can kind of tap into them, you could really fulfill some potential. And, everybody's got their different motivations for what they want out of life. It's not like everybody has to go and do, triathlons in order to be happy. But I really find interesting your approach to life in general. I always see that you're out there hustling and, real recognizes real, dude. I try to live in my own way a similar lifestyle, but I always appreciate when I see you out there at these Spartan races, killing the game. And that's something that I wanted to get into today. So first off, what the fuck has been going on since this whole pandemic started? I know that you've got this gym that you're running out of your own spot. Tell me a little bit more about what you've been up to lately, dude.
Yeah, so I've been working in the gym as well as the radio station for years, and 2020 has just been curveball after curveball, man. Obviously with both of us not being at the radio station anymore, and then my gym closed in January. So within 3 months, I lost both my sources of income. It was odd. And then in February, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. So once COVID hit, those 3 months were really challenging. But once COVID hit, I had to find a way to stay occupied because you mentioned it earlier. I'm never, I'll watch a few episodes of TV every now and then. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love to sit in front of the TV and watch The Office reruns over and over again. That's one of my favorite things to do. But I'm very much a person that's a go-getter. I don't let excuses stop me. I don't get thrown off track by too many things. And you have to realize when COVID hit, a lot of people lost their jobs, not just us. People in restaurant industry, a lot of people in the sporting industry, people who work at arenas, people who work for sporting teams got laid off. Think of all the smaller schools. Think about college football right now, what they're going through. Those employees are all going to be affected. So I had to figure out what the next step was. And I have a really good clientele that had followed me training wise. When I went from the first gym that I got that closed in January, I started training independently somewhere else up until COVID hit. And then I said, okay, I'm not going to be training in a gym anymore. So what can I do to keep my clients and myself active? And it was just, I literally started in my garage with a battle rope, which is those swinging ropes.
I love this, dude. I love this.
Yeah, and it was a battle rope, one just a piece of like steel that was used as a sled, one medicine ball, and one kettlebell. And some resistance bands. That's all we had.
And a little calisthenics and a little sweat.
Yeah, and we, again, like working out in strength it's a mind frame. It's not machines. It's not the weight in front of you. It's a mindset, and for you to push through the obstacle that's in front of you. So my clients made it work, and my clients have stayed with me. And I've actually gotten more clients because I now have almost a fully functional gym in my garage that I've pieced together by either building equipment or buying gyms that are closing out, and it's an unfortunate part of the business, but smaller gyms are not able to survive this because people are being laid off. They have to cut sources of expenditure as well, and so they're not renewing their memberships at these gyms. So some gyms are going out of business. So I found a friend actually through buying a piece of equipment that we have now been watching to see if a gym closes, and then we go in and just take everything. We take all the equipment, and like for example, last week we found a gym that was closing. They were selling bumper plates, which are, gold right now, for 90 cents a pound, and those are going on the secondhand market for $3 or $4 a pound.
Huh.
So we bought them all out. I kept the equipment that I needed for my garage. He kept what he has a garage too. He's not a trainer. He's just training for himself and his family. And we've sold almost all the weight at $2.50 a pound.
Damn.
So, yeah, and
I love it.
It's cheaper for people on the secondhand market because it's, again, you can go right now, search bumper plates on Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp. It's $3 or $4 a pound. But we also supplied ourselves as well. But that wasn't all we bought. We bought a lot of stuff. We supplied ourselves, and then we've sold the rest to try and make our money back. So
I've been seeing you, dude. You're out there welding shit. You're fucking creating all these new weight racks, and I'm so proud of you, dog. Like, I'm so happy to see that. And I've noticed that, and it's really no hit on anybody who's having a tough time right now, because we all are having a tough time from one degree or another. And especially when it comes into the mental aspect of it, family, all of that, things are tough. But I'm always really encouraged when I see, and I've been seeing a lot of people out there. Okay, so you're unemployed. You've been getting that like $600 a week or whatever. I'm not saying you, but people in general, you've been getting that $600 a week. Maybe it's a little bit more than some people were even used to getting in the first place when you add the other two, and then you get the other benefits on top of it. I love when I'm seeing people take a couple of those bucks and invest it into their future. Don't just go buy a TV or a bunch of food that's like extravagant that you don't need to get by. Still stay on the cheap and do what you got to do, but invest in your future, because listen, there's going to come a point, and we're seeing it now, where those unemployment checks run out and people are scrambling to find out what the hell they're going to do. And it's people like you who invested wisely are going to excel when this all opens back up even more so. But I'm happy to see, even in the meantime, like you say, your clientele grew even more during this.
Because so right now, especially down here in South Florida, there's the mandatory mask policy in place, which I don't have a problem with, but people don't want to go work out wearing a mask. So they've obviously seen, like you, the stuff that's been on social media, word of mouth. Like people are hitting me up yesterday. Hey, I heard you open a gym. I'm like, not quite, but I limit it to no bigger than 2, max 3 people at a time. They split the cost of what an hour would cost, and I use the same rate I was getting at the gym. I'm not charging anymore. I realize other people are struggling as well. And if 2 or 3 people can split the cost of that 1 hour, I have no problem with that whatsoever. We have medical grade wipes. My mom works in a hospital, so I get all those. If you want to wear a mask, no problem. If somebody wants me to wear a mask, no problem whatsoever. And the best part is that my dog is out there the whole time with you. And he's like half corgi, half terrier.
Oh,
So he's like
come on, dude.
40
That's
pounds.
dirty.
Little
That's
itty bitty
dirty.
legs. Yeah. So, but he's a cuddler, man. So if you need like some therapy time with the dog, he's out there. You know, he's on my social media all the time. But yeah, man, it's been really fun. And the other thing too is like I did look into getting the unemployment benefits. I didn't do it because I don't need it. I also got the money from when I was released from my contract, severance pay. So I reinvested that money in some of the equipment as well. But I've been doing so well with client, not so well, but I'm doing well enough to maintain. I pay my bills and I spend the rest. I save a little. I used to travel a lot. And obviously, we can't do that right now. So I've been spending the money that I would normally spend on traveling on getting more gym equipment, buying more gym equipment, and then buying the gym equipment and selling it for more money. So it's been really fun. It's been really interesting. This is not a permanent solution, but it has kind of planted that seed of, hey, maybe when this is over, there's an ability for me to open a small studio, a boutique gym, something where my clients can come and still, even if COVID were to come back again, that exclusivity of private training or very small groups of 3 to 4 people, that's something that I have a lot of interest in looking into once this whole pandemic kind of ends. But you never know if it's going to come back. But you are seeing, if you're in the fitness industry, you're seeing the gyms that are surviving and how they're doing it. They have a big online presence, and the ones that don't are not surviving. And so, I'm kind of, when I go to a gym and I buy out their equipment, I talk to them. Hey, what happened? Did you have this? Did you have XYZ? And find out what worked and what didn't work for them, and just take mental notes. And the guy who I met, his name's David, buying equipment. Him and I have had a lot of conversations about maybe opening a place when this is all over. So it's planted a little seed that's growing and growing. But if not, I'll have a great garage gym. So that seems to be working out pretty well too. So now I'm looking for a house with a 2-car garage.
Oh shit! Now then things are gonna get serious.
I need more garage space, man. Yeah.
No, that's great, man. I'm really happy to see it, and just going more in line with what we were talking about earlier in the theme of the podcast, which is the power of the mind, and I think that a lot of people have this untapped ability to get a lot more out of their potential in life, and they're still trying to figure it out. We all are, but the power of the mind, man, it's so easy to convince ourselves of shit that isn't true. And when I see that people that you have to be pragmatic. And it's like, okay, it is what it is. Now what? So when I see people acting accordingly with this whole thing, it's encouraging, because it's also a good example, for the rest of us. So good looking out for doing that and putting out that good energy. I think it's really dope that you're doing it.
Yeah. And something too that you mentioned, these extreme races that I've been doing. The last 2 years I've participated in like a 24-hour Spartan race in extreme conditions. 2 years ago it was in Iceland, last year it was in Sweden. Those things prepared me for this, because when you're out there at, in these locations in December and November, there's 4 hours of daylight, 20 hours of darkness. It's 10 degrees. These things prepare you for this. And that's why I'm a big proponent of, whether it's a Spartan race or it's a 5K or it's a powerlifting event or a bodybuilding competition, find something, set a date on the calendar.
Challenge yourself.
Yeah, and work towards that. Because if you don't have, this comes from the Spartan CEO, if you don't have something on the calendar, you're not working towards something. And it's very easy to settle. And I've done it too, where I go to the gym and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. And I haven't really done anything, So having something on the calendar really helps you set those goals. But yeah, man, just having these kind of events where I'm just out there at 2 a.m. in 15-degree weather, is like, I gotta keep going or I'm gonna just like freeze to death, you don't really have that option. So
tell me more about that competition, man. Tell me, so you're out there, like you said, it's a 24-hour competition, it's extreme weather. What's going through your mind when it's pitch dark out and you're in the middle of some mean bush just trying to hoof it? And that has got to be such incredible, like you said, training for the future issues or problems to come. It's so evident when you see people who have never had to deal with anything in their life, that something pops up and it's like, oh, they're like clutching their pearls. And you can tell that people like you have been through some shit, gone through the trenches. And a lot of people I know who've not wanted to go through the trenches, but they've been through the trenches of life. If you haven't done that, you almost have to willfully do it and put yourself through some shit because you see the wisdom in what you're going to get out of it. Some of the best qualities I think that I have were all forged through adversity and enduring some bullshit that nobody should probably ever have to deal with. But it teaches you lessons, and that's your job, is to go through that, come out better on the other side. So tell me a little about you're identifying the wisdom in that, right? So you say, okay, I'm going to start going and doing these competitions, and I'm going to test myself.
Yeah, it all started with a breakup, man. like all good stories.
It always does.
You know? It was a really, really bloody breakup, and I was like, okay, I need something to distract myself, to stop me from getting into these dark areas where your mind is in a bad place, and then once your mind is in a bad place, it's hard to get out of that. So I had a workout group at the gym I was working at that I trained them every morning at 5-6 a.m. They did a group class together, and I worked with them. And they were runners. They had done the New York Marathon, the Boston Marathon, like all these kind of things. And I was like, if you knew me 2 or 3 years ago, I was not a runner. I'm still not a runner. I hate running. Mm-hmm. But I said, hey, I want to do this. And I sent them the flyer for the 24-hour Spartan race. It's an obstacle course race in Iceland, which I love Iceland. I got Iceland here. It's my favorite place in the whole world. But
are you Icelandic? Sorry,
I'm not Icelandic. I wish I was, man. I wish I could move.
You look like a fucking Viking, dude.
You gotta be. I gotta like marry an Icelandic girl to move over there, man.
Yeah. What ethnicity are you?
What was that?
What ethnicity are you?
Oh, my father's family's from Argentina and Italian, and my mother's family's from Ireland. So it's a great little blend of.
Dope. Yeah, one of these days, I know you don't go out a lot, but yeah, I got to take you to the field, man. Get that Irish heritage out of you. Get a couple Irish card dogs.
I went to Dublin after my last 24-hour race to celebrate, so I'm all about the Irish celebrating.
Okay? Oh, hell yeah.
I'm all about that.
Go ahead.
But yeah, so, I sent this to this group, and I said, I want to do this event. This is something I want to do. We train for it, and it's like you said, Brian, there are certain things that you can do. What I learned, and I actually did not finish that race. I ended up cramping like really bad after 13 hours. That race. I learned there's nothing you can do to prepare, especially when you live in Florida, for extremely cold conditions. What your podcast is about. It's all mental. This is a mental obstacle. You can have the right clothing, you can have the right food, you can have the right preparation, but nothing can prepare you for the mental obstacle that's going to come when you're, like you said, out there at 2 a.m. There's nobody around you. You have a headlight on. There's snow flurries. The floor is icy. There's nothing you can do to prepare for that except be mentally strong. And having done Spartan races prior to that kind of helped me. But I didn't finish that race. I ended up I can't. Every step I would take, my leg was just cramping. I don't think I was properly hydrated for that race. And you learn when you go these things. So I said, I'm going to do it again next year. Whatever location they choose, they chose Sweden, which was actually really, really beautiful location. It's called, I think they call it Ore, Sweden. It's A-R-E, but it has like some weird kind of spelling on it. And totally in the north part of Sweden, away from Stockholm. I had to take a plane ride from Stockholm to some small city, then an hour cab ride to this area called Ore, Sweden.
Damn.
It's beautiful, man. So the way these races work too is you're not just out there for 24 hours straight. Like it's a course. I think this one was 5 miles, and then there's a transition area where once you do the 5 miles, and in the 5 miles there are 25, 30 obstacles, right? Pull a sled, barbed wire, a ladder, all those kinds of things. All these obstacles. You do the obstacles. You go back into the transition area. You can change your clothes, you can eat food, you can get water, and then you got to go back out. You got to do 6 laps minimum, which I did the 6 laps, and I finished the race this time. So it was preparing, obviously physically you have to get your body ready for that, but there are certain things you learn through time, mental preparation, do the few days leading up to the race, all that kind of good stuff. But when you're out there at 2, 3 in the morning, it is actually it sounds really rough. I get it. But when you're out there and there's nobody around you and you're on the top of the mountain and the snow is flying and you can hear the wind and you see the snow covered tree, it is the most beautiful thing you can ever imagine, man. And I took plenty of mental snapshots. I took pictures while the few hours the sun was up. You know, they have a couple photographers that are out there too taking pictures as well. I'm certain.
Oh, you got to send me some of those pictures so I can put them up while you're talking.
Yeah,
about
absolutely. They're on my Instagram. You know, I'm sure Brian will get up all that information. But I have a lot of photos, extreme environments that you can be put in. But it's also when you're just there and you just take a minute to soak it in. Which and at that moment too, I'm just resting for a minute too because I'm tired. You know, it is, you know, you realize like, hey man, if God forbid I got hit by a car tomorrow, man, I had a good life, man. I did it pretty good, you know, and I got to witness some really extreme things that other people don't get to. And I've got to do a lot of things that a lot of people are too afraid to do. So I was looking forward to doing it again this year. They changed the location to a spot I didn't want to go to. And then it got canceled at the end of the day because of COVID. So, you know, right now we're keeping the training active. 2021 is what the next goal is. This year I was looking forward to an event in Greece, but I don't think anybody's letting Americans in right now. So
yeah,
maybe if I said I was Icelandic, I could pull it off. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm a Viking. Can't you see?
Yeah.
Dude. No, that I'm proud of you, dog. And listen, keep up what you're doing. And I can tell I'm seeing on your Instagram, your Facebook, you're helping a lot of people. You're helping more people than you realize. Just again, putting out that positive energy and vibe is huge, man. And you know, you're always going to have some people try and find like, oh, what's he trying to prove, man? What's that guy running from? Why is he always
I've got a lot of that.
Yeah, you're always gonna have that, dude. Do you know a guy named David Goggins?
I do know, yeah, like the fittest guy on earth and strong, whatever, something like that.
That guy, if you ever need some motivation, just go to that guy's Instagram page. He's a beast, like ex-Navy SEAL.
Yeah, I think he passed like the Navy SEAL and the Marine version and then the Army version of that test.
Yeah, he's like a Ranger, SEAL, freaking all of them. Blue Angel probably. But yeah, man, I like that good energy that you're putting out there. Keep it up. I also, like you said, I know you're a traveler. What are some places? I know you've been to like Iceland, Sweden. What are some other places that you've been to? And you've got to tell me while you're doing that. I heard something like a rumor you got to confirm for me. Are you a Pokemon master, bro?
Oh, yes, man. Pokemon master, bro.
Tell me about that, dude, because I have no idea about any of it.
I got no shame. I mean, Pokemon came out, 22 years ago, something like that. I was 10 years old. So I played the first version of the game. If you're familiar with mobile gaming, there's a popular game called Pokemon Go, which, look, I don't care what you think. Not you, Brian, but anybody who's watching or listening, I don't care what you think because I love that game. First of all, you cannot really play the game from the seat of your house. Now you can because of COVID. They've made it so, hey, don't go outside. But before, and I'm sure once this pandemic goes away, it is a game that makes you go outside. There are certain things you have to do. You have to walk a certain amount of kilometers in the game. There are certain events that take place that make you go outside. Like, for example, I interviewed for a job in Seattle in January of 2018. And they had a new event called Community Day, which they like release a special Pokemon for 3 hours. And I was like, I was with my friend. I'm like, let's go to a park and play this and go play these 3 hours and see what it's like. And I went to a park I would have never gone to in Seattle. Beautiful park. Met so many cool people. They were collecting canned goods for like the homeless and whatnot. And I had a great time for 3 hours. I would have never gone there. And they do that once a month. It's called Community Day. And it's just a great event, man. It makes people go outside. And they had one this past weekend. I went to the park for an hour or two. It's really hot right now. But I went to the park for an hour or two. I played a little bit. I met, one or two people I hadn't met before at the park by my house. I don't care what people think, man. It's a game that makes you go outside. And, obviously video game and gaming is a big deal right now, especially with the pandemic. But anything that makes you go outside, walk around, get exercise, and socialize. In my book, I don't care what you're doing, whether you're collecting Pokemon or you're talking about My Little Pony. I don't care. Like you're not inside the house. You're not staying at home in bed or on the couch. So yes, I am a Pokemon master. I will stand by that till the day I die. It's on my Twitter handle. It's on my Instagram, this bio description, and I don't run from it, and I'm not afraid.
I'm proud of you, dog. Fucking fly that Pokemon. I can't even say fly that Pokemon flag high, dude. Just saying, go. It's just one of those things I missed the boat on. Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
I had a lot of friends who were super into that shit growing up, and I missed the boat. I was into a lot of other stuff. One of which was sports, of course, which is something that I wanted to get into with you, of course. Hey, dude, you're FAU guy, Willie Taggart, taking you guys to the promised land this year with your Powerade.
I mean, are they even going to have college football, right? Like,
All right, let's get into some sports. We're going to get into sports.
Not too far. There's too much to lose. It's not just keep our composure. Playoffs?
Can't do it.
Hello?
All right, dude. Let's talk some sports. What do you want to talk first? I'm going to leave it up to you because I want to basically run through all of the South Florida teams just briefly. Dolphins, Heat, Canes, Marlins, Panthers, even Inter Miami, CF. Fucking let's get them all, dude. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Good God. I mean, let's give a round of applause to the NBA, right? Like,
dude.
Doing this thing. You look at the sports and the leadership of each individual sport. Baseball, Rob Manfred, who I particularly think is a joke. You see the Marlins, 20 positive tests on one team. Why?
The
Because
most
baseball.
Marlins thing of all time.
Right. And they've done really well since they've come back, so got to give them credit. But the sport of baseball just not doing things right, which is why it's a declining sport in terms of popularity amongst the youth of America today. Like, if you ask a kid growing up, 13, 14, you want to play football, you want to play basketball, or you want to play baseball? The third on that list will be baseball every time.
Yeah.
Every time. Then the NBA, like 0 positive tests inside the bubble for 3-4 weeks now. You're getting great games, and you have games that I can turn on TV right now, and there's a basketball game on, which is really weird, right?
Yeah, dude, it's like March Madness for pro. It's like so strange.
It's awesome though. It's great. Yeah. I'm like, yo, the Heat game's on at 1 o'clock today. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go, Eric Reed. I know, man. And go ahead.
And the first day that they came back, they had a game, I think it was at 1, and then the Panthers had a game at 4. It was a great day.
Yeah, dude. It's so much better than nothing. I was talking to Eric Reed last week about just like how much we've been proven, through this whole thing, how much sports means to us, the normalcy, what it does for the human spirit and all of that. And like that guy has, I probably heard that guy's voice more than arguably any other person's outside of like a handful of people, a family or friends or whatever. But it just goes to show you how much, because sports is life. There's so many parallels, people trying to push through and overcome, achieve all these things. There's so many parallels. So it's just been so nice to have sports come back. I mean, finally got the Celtics win last week. I know we had that tough loss against the Suns with Devin Booker just went the fuck off. I think he was trying to prove Draymond Green right or something after that comment that he made the other night.
Like you also look at the Heat, like no Jimmy Butler, no Goran Dragic, no Kendrick Nunn. I'm not really worried about the Heat. I think they'll be fine when they're at full strength. We've seen what they're able to do. They're a fun young team. I don't think they're going to win a championship this year, but man, they've made. If you remember, I think it was last year. It was a terrible year for Florida sports teams. Or South Florida sports teams, and the Heat have made watching sports fun again. They've got a very fun team, championship contender, yes, but not a top contender, I would say, in terms of the teams you think of when you think of who can win the NBA championship this year. They've got a shot, no doubt, but regardless, they've got a great team. They've got a great path to the future. Who knows what the NBA salary cap situation holds with them, the salary cap's going to change because they're not making as much money without fans in the stands. So, I mean, this pandemic has really taken a blow to the knees of sports. And right now we might be looking at a college football season that either doesn't take place in the fall, maybe takes place in the spring. I don't know. The ACC has said that there's going to be college football, but man, you think of the ripple effects of this pandemic on the sporting industry, not just like guys like you and me at radio stations and stuff, but the people who work the concessions at the game, the people who are ushers, the people who work for these Division II, Division III teams. Division III is like, we're not having a season at all. That affects all those people, man. Sports is a multi-billion-dollar industry, not just for the teams, but for the employees, for the people who work at the stadium, so on and so forth, man. So like you said, it's great to see sports back in one way or the other, whether there's people there or not. But going back to the NBA, I mean, like when you're watching games, Brian, do you notice that there's like actually not people there? Because I just want to applaud the NBA at how great of a job that they've done at making this feel like it's totally normal, right? There's
I gotta
people
say too, yeah, man.
know?
Most definitely. Like I will say at first when I saw like I think it was like the first day that they were back or something, and they had some fake fans like on those walls or whatever, and I didn't know that those walls were gonna be there. Like I didn't know that they were doing that plan, and it took me like a second to get used to it. And then, like you said, after watching the game, you hear the music. It's kind of like, you know, the UFC fights. You're getting to hear the thump of these punches. You're getting to hear way more of the sound of the game, which has been really enjoyable for me. And yeah, man, they're doing a really good job. And like you said, the fact that nobody's gotten, you know, tested positive yet, they're killing it over there. And so I'm really happy to see it. I mean, I do think that this team is built for the playoffs. Like you said, I don't think that they're like championship contenders yet, but we are built to win. Like I think that we have a pretty tough squad that can go up against, at least in the East, a lot of these teams in the East. I think that we have a really good shot of coming out of the first round, possibly, you know, with a little luck getting out of the second one. But I think that is pretty much where my expectations are right now. But I mean, the roster is stacked. Like we got a nice deep bench. Bam, really coming into his own, shooting threes now. Fucking Hero. And Leonard, Dragic, Robinson, Dunn, all these dudes, man. Like it's just. So, what do you think? Before we move on, like, what do they got to focus on if they do want to win in the playoffs? Because it's going to be tough, but like especially against teams like the 76ers or Celtics.
You know, it's funny. I think the biggest problem for them is actually the Celtics, because when you look at them against Milwaukee this year, they were 2-0 against Milwaukee. They lost the other day, but no Jimmy Butler, no Goran Dragic, and they had a lead at halftime by like 17 points against the Bucks. You know, if things were to work out like you said in your scenario, where they get to the conference finals and they're matched up against the Bucks, I feel good about that matchup. I get nervous when I see the Heat versus Celtics. The Celtics just have so many guys that can score off the dribble. You know, Kemba Walker's a great addition to that team. A pretty good coach in Brad Stevens as well. Yeah, I think that it's going to be really, really fun to watch the Heat in the playoffs. I'm not too worried about them against Philadelphia, against Indiana. I think the team that worries me the most is the team you just brought up, the Celtics, because you know I've seen the Heat handle the Milwaukee Bucks twice this season. Once in Indiana, once in Miami. I think once in Milwaukee, once in Miami. And I think in Milwaukee the Heat beat the Bucks without Jimmy Butler. That was like the third or fourth game of the season when he just had his baby. But you know, it's a young team. It's a fun team. I'd like to see Jimmy Butler be a little bit more assertive in the fourth quarter. Maybe he's saving that for the playoffs. I don't know. You know, Jimmy Butler has never really been the guy. He was in Chicago with Derrick Rose. He was in Minnesota with Karl Anthony Towns. He was in Philadelphia with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. In Miami, he's the guy right now. And I'd like to see in close, tight situations, when things come down in crunch time, the fourth quarter, I'd like to see Jimmy Butler be a little bit more assertive. I know the right thing to do is kind of the LeBron James thing, like make the right team play. But sometimes you just need Jimmy Butler to be the alpha. And sometimes he's a little bit too passive in game closing situations. But other than that, like, you can't really complain about this team. They've been fun. They've grown. You've seen young guys develop. You're seeing people want to come to Miami, like Jimmy Butler, who wanted to come here in the offseason, even though he was at the time on a better team in Philadelphia on paper. You know, the Miami Heat just continue to do things the right way. Even though I was highly leading the tank train last year. But no matter what, the Heat, they continue to do the right thing and be the beacon of Miami and South Florida sports, man.
I love that, dude. Yeah, honestly, I will say something I love probably most about this team, and I'm really happy that Jimmy Butler is, like, you know, taking the reins of it now, is that mental toughness aspect of his game. I love that. No excuses. Everybody go out here and play hard, period. All right, dude. Let's talk a little Dolphins. We got. Come on, dude. We got to talk some Dolphins for a second.
Oh God.
So,
we have to.
yeah, I know, right? We have to, dude. We have to.
I think they're
This
on
is
the
an
right.
original South Florida sports. My original South Florida sports love. I mean, I love all my South Florida teams, but Danny Marino was my guy. Still is. So we got some dude, that guy who used to be an actor, Chester Rogers. We got him as a wide receiver. We picked him up yesterday.
Yeah, they've had a couple of guys go out, opt out of the season at that position. So
Yeah.
a little bit. The receiver was actually their deepest position, you could probably say.
Dude, I want Devontae Parker to take that next step. I mean, that guy is so fucking talented. If he's got somebody actually consistently throwing the ball to him, woo, he's going to be one of the top.
Can we just tip our hats to Ryan Fitzpatrick, by the way? I mean,
it's magic, dude.
You want to talk about mental toughness? This guy, play in and play out, Brian. Chin strap on the nose because he's getting destroyed because the offensive line is a Patrick of people they picked up off the waiver wire the week before. 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. Some of them to Devontae Parker. But, man, he sat in the pocket last year and took some blows. He even, I think he was like their leading rusher at the end of the year.
Man, that's right. Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, man. I do love him. I do love him. Yeah, not a knock on him at all. Just, I think if Devontae Parker, my God, if he at least a little more consistent and going for the future. What are your thoughts on Tua? Is he starting? Do you think that he's going to be starting anytime this year? And if so, at what point do you see them popping him in there?
I think that a different organization would kind of do the red shirt thing where, hey, we're going to start Ryan Fitzpatrick, who, last year we saw he can take this offense up and down the field. But I think what this organization is going to do is the same thing they did last year is give everybody an equal shot. They tried Josh Rosen out last year. They said, hey, you're going to start a few games. And because he earned that right, or either that or Fitzpatrick wasn't doing a great job in the beginning of the season. And I think that if Tua in training camp and in practice performs better than Ryan Fitzpatrick, that he will be given the opportunity to be the starting quarterback. Or in the situation, if you remember the first few games last year, Ryan Fitzpatrick was actually the starting quarterback. He did not play well at all either. Then they'll turn to Tua as well, or Josh Rosen. I mean, I have no idea what they're doing with Josh Rosen. But I think that at some point this year, you'll see Tua Tagovailoa as the starting quarterback under center for the Miami Dolphins. I have no idea if that's a good idea or not. I think it would be a great idea to just have him sit and watch for a year or even 10 games or 12 games and then have him have 4 to 6 games at the end of the season. I mean, you look at – I know a lot of quarterbacks now start day one, but a lot of quarterbacks don't start day one that are drafted in the top 5, and you see the track record there, and a lot of those quarterbacks do pretty well. I trust this organization right now where I trust Brian Flores. I don't know how much I trust Chris Greer just yet, but based off the job that the Dolphins did last year with picking players that were cut from other teams or on other teams' practice squad, plugging them in and getting results out of those guys, I will trust Brian Flores. He has earned that right. He's earned the benefit of the doubt until you're proven otherwise.
Bro, I feel so bad. I really don't, deep down in my heart, but part of me feels so bad for these Jets fans dealing with Adam Gase. I still cannot fucking believe that they did that. If I was a Jets fan, I would be so upset. I remember telling all my Jets fan friends, good luck, dude, because that's gonna be a tough ride.
He's the worst, man. He is the worst. I don't want to speak poorly about any individual, but from the way he treated the media down here, in his press conference, Adam Gase was actually really buddy with the media, when not in a press conference, right? He had a lot of people's phone numbers, had conversations with them, but when he was asked a question he didn't like, he was very surly, Bill Belichick type. And you don't get that right until you win like Bill Belichick, right? Exactly. So you don't get to be nasty with the media when your team is losing embarrassingly and then
You're like 2-8.
You're acting like you're in the play, like you led this team to back-to-back playoff appearances. First of all, like Adam Gase got to the playoffs in year one because of Jay Ajayi, right? Ryan Tannehill played really well when that offensive line was intact, and then he got hurt at the end of the year. But let's not forget that Jay Ajayi had 3 200-yard games, and I believe he was selected to the Pro Bowl that year. Gets to the playoffs in the back.
Philly, because that's what we do. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and then he trades him to Philly,
because he didn't fall in line with his system or whatever. Maybe your system's bullshit, then, dude.
Well, and then let's not forget. First of all, Jay Ajayi doesn't start the first week of that season. Arian Foster does, who retires 5 weeks later, right? Jay Ajayi is left at home because he's mad. Then the Dolphins also on the depth chart. Let's not forget this. Have Damian Williams, who won the Super Bowl last year for Kansas City with like an 80-yard touchdown run, and Kenyon Drake, who was traded last year and had like 1,000 yards after he was traded. I mean,
it's so
didn't use those guys whatsoever. We're just throwing slant routes to Jarvis Landry 100 times for 5 yards a pass. Okay, all right. Go to New York, have fun. He's doing the exact same thing in New York that he did in Miami. Like, he is ostracizing certain players. He thinks that he is above everybody else on that team, the system, the coaches. He's running
those eyes, dude. And he's just like,
man, I am so happy that he is not here anymore. Thank God, because that guy was the worst. And then there was this article. I can't remember where it came out. If it was like Sports Illustrated or something, talking about like the kind of person that he is, and like, he left his pregnant wife on the table after she had a C-section to go to a meeting with Peyton Manning. Bro!
I didn't know that.
He is the worst, man.
Oh, my God.
Dude, look it up. Google it. Adam Gase, pregnant wife, whatever. She had a C-section. In the article, it says she's holding her guts in her hand. And he says, all right, babe, I'm going. Are you good? And she says, yeah, I'm good. And he leaves. And he beats Peyton Manning to the meeting.
Oh,
worst guy ever.
Jesus Christ, dude. Well, I don't know. Obviously, I don't see that lasting a whole lot longer up there because New York, they're a lot less patient. Even we're pretty much in the same boat as far as performance over the last 30 years or so. But the New York media and whatnot, I think they might be a little less patient for his bullshit. I mean, not that we were super patient, but how are you doing on time? You okay?
It's only a matter. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah,
right,
it's only a matter of time. So he gets the boot over there, but he's doing a great job of having them do what Miami had to do, was a total rebuild, because he's just a total mess, man. Doesn't know how to run a team.
Well,
I think he does.
I do like. We do have some players that I really like, and I would like to keep building on. I mean, I like the backfield. I know people are pretty down on it right now, but Matt Breida and Jordan Howard, I don't hate that backfield. Don't hate the wide receiver core. Mike Gesicki, he's a beast. Tight end. If we can get some solid play out of Tua, obviously, as always, our O-line is the most suspect, biggest issue for the most part.
They drafted two tackles, a guard, a center. Like, they drafted
really hoping those guys step up. Yeah.
They did a great job at building upon what they did last season. And heck, they even have a couple of draft picks next. I think they have another first-round pick from that Laramie Tunsil trade still. So they have some capital in next year's draft as well. The thing about next year's draft is, if there's no college football, how the hell are we going to know who's good and who's not, right? Like,
I know. Well, they said that they've got games planned. I actually looked up. We've got this crazy schedule this year. The only Florida team we play is FSU, and it's a home game. And then the rest of the games are out of state. Every away game, we got to go to fucking Clemson, Louisville, NC State, Virginia Tech, and Wake Forest, all away games. And during this whole pandemic thing, the whole idea is supposed to be, if it's like interconference, it's less travel and whatnot, right? But we are, and I was talking to my cousin about that the other day with the Florida Gators. They have, like, they're pissed because they don't get to play FSU, but they have to travel to Texas, play Texas Tech, Arkansas, and all over the place. So it's going to be interesting to see how this college football schedule plays out, because they're not in a bubble. They get to go home with their families and whatnot, and then they got to come back.
Yeah.
That's my big concern with football, because they're not in a bubble, and I don't know. We might be able to start it, but are we going to be able to finish it? That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, look, I think that just with anything COVID related, there's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things, right?
Mm.
And first of all, it's going to be very incumbent upon the individual players on these teams to be responsible. It's going to be, you're not supposed to have large gatherings or big social settings. So, how about let's not go to parties, where there's 100 people, you can contract COVID, give it to your teammates, give it to your family, then give it to the team you're playing the next day, et cetera, right? But we also have to have really strict testing policies in the NCAA, which Mark Emmert, not the brightest tool in the shed, we know that for sure. And we talked about this earlier, the people who are leading these sports are when you think of basketball, you think of Adam Silver, great job. When you think of baseball, bad management in terms of baseball. So the NCAA has to have strict testing measures in place. But I'm going to say this, Brian. I think they need to find a way to get games played. Not only have we had the conversation about the employees that are affected on teams, concession workers, but if you take away sports from these universities, right?
Especially football, basketball.
For example, the MAC conference, right? They canceled all these non-conference games. So the teams in the MAC conference, I can't think about Idaho, whatever.
No.
Idaho goes to play Ohio State. They get $1.5 million for that game to get their ass kicked. That's where they get their money from.
Yeah.
Nobody's watching Idaho football. They get their money from going to Ohio State, getting their ass kicked, sometimes winning that game randomly, who knows. And they do that for 2 or 3 games a season. They make $3 million off that. They make a couple $100,000 or $1 million off of TV advertising. They make another couple $1 million off of ticket sales, concessions, etc., which those are gone. Concession sales are gone. Selling jerseys is out. Selling the foam finger, that's out. All that money's gone. Now you're taking away conference games from teams. So the MAC conference is there's no point. We're out. We're done. Right? Watch how that's going to affect the schools in the MAC conference. I don't even know if Idaho is in the MAC. I'm just giving you an example, right? Now the other sports in Idaho are affected, right? You think anybody is watching Idaho women's cricket, right? Or chess, whatever? No, they get all their money from football. So now you're cutting all that money, all that funding for all these programs that don't bring in revenue in all these colleges, and you're going to have that across the entire country. You're going to have that at FIU. FIU's football program funds many of their sports and other programs that don't bring in money. Okay, you think anybody's going to FIU or play of Romeo and Juliet? No. Okay, no. Nobody's going to go watch the band at FIU play in their little concert hall. They get money from football. So if you cut football, you cut the funding to a lot of these programs. You fuck with a lot of these kids' ability to do the things that make them feel better. If I was and now I can't go do my concert, even though there's only 12 people there, because the football team couldn't go play. Some of these, like you said, Brian, some of these kids, that's all they have, man.
Yeah.
And you're cutting now the funding to the art programs, the music programs, this program, that program. You're going to have
to use all the bench players, the reserves, get them out there one way or another, play the game.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of issues with this. Not only is COVID affecting the way that kids socialize in school, and I think a lot of kids are going to be fucked up, Brian, from not being able to socialize with other kids. I think a lot of youth and kids that are 18, 19, 20, not in sports. And yes, I think a few of those will also have issues as well. But all these other programs that are funded by college athletics, specifically college football, you're going to cut that money coming in. You're going to cut those programs, and you're going to mess with a lot of kids, Brian. This is why I think they have to find a way to make these games happen, make that TV money, and get what you can, because if you have spring football, I don't think a lot of these kids are playing, man. A lot of these kids are not playing spring football, especially who are draft eligible or are going to try to play again the next season in August. I don't think that's a realistic possibility. I think you have to find a way to do it now. Otherwise, you jeopardize a lot of other funding for programs in colleges that people don't really think about. I think that's really important. And while sports gets a bad rep for paying players too much money or whatever, collegiate sports, and especially football, it's a $1 billion machine, and that funds a lot of other programs at schools that people don't even know about. So you're going to have a big ripple effect if college football is canceled, man. Watch.
Yeah, and we're starting to see. I mean, Manny Diaz did come out and he's like, well, nobody else is opted out, but we saw Gregory Rousseau.
Yeah,
he opted out of the season. Just like I think it was the day before our first practice, which was on Friday.
Which, by the way, like I totally understand from his perspective. I totally understand. But if I'm a team drafting in the top 5, I am not drafting Greg Rousseau based off of one good season 2 years ago. I'm not doing it. Like if I'm the Dolphins who need an edge rusher still, and I'm picking in the top 5, which maybe they might be, I'm not taking Greg Rousseau based off of one season.
It's a huge risk. It's a huge risk for sure. I mean,
but that's the question that a lot of these teams are going to have next year if this happens. We haven't seen these players in 2 years. We maybe saw one or two seasons of these guys produce, and we have no idea if they can do it at a higher level. And that's going to be a problem for the NFL if there's no college football season. Yeah,
it's going to be a tough. You know, who can make that decision besides them, their families themselves? It's going to be different for everybody, like you said. But hoping that now we got Ed Reed as our chief of staff, help recruiting a little bit to keep on.
They're on fire, man.
Yeah, he's doing really well. Just got another 5-star commit. We got Rhett Lashley coming in, taking over the offense, trying to institute that spread offense, which has been a long time coming, if you ask me. But obviously, we need to sustain the D, massively upgrade the offense, but in third downs are a huge problem.
Get a guy to kick the ball through the strikes.
That was going to be my main thing to talk about. We need a fucking kicker. Last year, what was it? 5 of the 7, because 2 of the losses were the last game of the season when it was all done, and then in the bowl game, which we just given up by then. But the 5 prior losses were all by 7 points or less, 3 of which were 6 points or less. And you saw in the Gator game, I forget, there was a couple other, but dude,
I think the Virginia Tech game, the extra point.
Virginia Tech game, the extra point. Dude, if we could that is a massively different season last year if we have a good kicker. I know that sounds...
No, not a good kicker, a kicker.
A kicker. Any kicker.
We were getting the walk-on kicker. We're giving him a try. Like, hey, can you kick it through that giant upright right there, you know?
I just feel so bad for, the Shaq Quartermans and Michael Pinckneys of the world who just, these guys stayed to try and accomplish something great, and only just to have the offense shit the bed every time that they went out on the field. I just felt so horrible for those poor guys.
Yeah, and they got this, I can't remember the kid's name now, but they got this kicker from FIU who actually kicked our ass in the FIU game. And then they've got his brother as
Borges or something. Let me see. I had it written down.
Borregos,
maybe? Borregales, yeah.
They got the transfer. He made a 50-yard field goal against the Canes last year. And then as a commits into the incoming recruiting class, they have his brother, who was the top-rated kicker in the country. So it looks like they're set a kicker for the next 3 to 4 years. Which, 20 years ago, who the hell cared about that? But last year, you can't even take an extra point for granted anymore, man.
I know, man. Well, I'm happy to hear that. I knew that he was there. I didn't know that we had their brother. Excited to see Derek.
His brother was actually committed first, and then the brother who was in high school committed first. He was the number 1 kicker in the country in the 2021 class. And then in the offseason, his brother, who's at FIU, transferred over to UM. So, a really good offseason for the Canes.
I'm happy to see. I'm very curious to see what Derek King. Is it D-Eric or Derek?
I think it's D-Eric.
Okay, so Derek King, because I've heard it both ways, from everybody, professionals up and down. So I'll just say Derek, who I believe they announced is the starter, or at least for now. Obviously, the O-line, again, always a concern for us, but we got that transfer along with King from Houston. I think Jared Williams.
Yeah, and they said
he's supposed to start.
Room, they were starting a left tackle who was 18 years old last year, was a 2-star recruit.
Yeah.
And stars be damned. It does count for something, especially when you're 18 years old. That's what all the people who were watching your tape in high school judged you on. Doesn't mean that's what you're going to be going to the NFL, but that's what they brought in. They brought in a 2-star, and they didn't have more than a few months to work with him. And he was starting at left tackle to start the season, man. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty insane.
Going up against Jabari Zuniga in the first game against UF, who's, you know, a first-round draft prospect. I go, this is not going to end well. And I think UF had 10 sacks in that game.
Bro,
yeah,
that was such a brutal game. I mean, just all the reasons why we should have won it. And I know that, you know, Florida's a great team, not taking anything away from them. They won that game. But again, the kicking mistakes, the bad O-line play, just like if we literally had one play, even after that insane game where we made all those mistakes, we're still one play away from it being a different outcome. All right, dude.
Go to that game, Brian, by the way?
What did you say?
Did you go to that game?
I was not at that game. I was at the last Florida UM game that we had down here, but I was not at that one.
Yeah,
Were
so
you?
not only I was at the game covering it for the station.
You're
but
covering
not
it.
only a shit show of a game in and of itself, but I mean, like, I never want to go to a game at that facility ever again. I think it's called Camping World Stadium in Orlando.
Oh,
It's the worst. It's the worst. I mean, no, like, terrible parking. Took me like 30 minutes to get from the press box to you know, where the press conferences are after. Oh, so terrible. So terrible.
God.
Never want. There's no play clocks in front of you. Like, you know, when you're the quarterback, the play clock's in the corner.
That's the, you know, the strangest thing I ever noticed at a stadium is when I went to go to South Bend. I saw UM play Notre Dame. Like, I guess it's like 4 years ago now, and they don't have any jumbotrons. It's so fucking weird, dude. Have you ever seen that? It's like when that play happened at the end. I don't know if you remember that huge fumble where I thought that we'd recovered the ball. It was at our end zone, and I was fucking convinced that I saw with my own two eyes that we recovered the ball, but they gave it to Notre Dame. We couldn't see the replay. So I remember even getting home and trying to find it online. It took me till like the next day to find that play. I was like, who the hell doesn't have jumbotrons in their stadium?
And then the worst part about that game too was there was a Backstreet Boys concert at the Amway Center, like 2 miles east. So to get an Uber ride, it was like 4 times the rate of normal.
Oh God! Oh, dude, those insane like.
So I was staying at a friend's house in Orlando. So what I ended up doing was, like, because you know me, I'm like, forget this. I start walking. I start walking like 3 miles out, you know, away from the stadium, and then get an Uber. So I'm not charged 4 times for the Uber. It was like a $200 Uber ride, and I was like, not happening.
Insane. All right, let's wrap up sports here, which this is not going to take long. We're going to we already kind of talked about the Marlins. Like, I mean, what can you? We're first in the NL East now, but I think that's partly because we missed that series versus Philly, so we're gonna have to pick that up at some point. But we got to make up those games. But who the hell knows, man? I think it's gonna be Dodgers and Yankees probably in the fucking World Series. That's like literally where I want Jeter and this whole thing to work out so much until they stop slapping us in the face as fans and actually put out a winning product. I don't hold it against the players. I do not hold it against the players. I like to try and watch the games, try and support them. But for me to be back in that ravenous like Marlins fan mode again, it's going to be a while before that happens. I'm going to have to see a little more out of them.
No, I completely agree with you. People, you got 2 World Series championships. Like, okay, yeah, that's great. But, like, to invest in the organization as a fan, it just doesn't make sense because you fall in love with these players, you buy their jerseys, and when it comes time to paying the players what they're worth, they usually ship them off for other players who then exceed their worth, who are then shipped off again. It's just this vicious cycle of, you know, investing yourself in these great young players. And the other thing you can't hold against the organization, too, is the death of Jose Fernandez, which, I mean, that would be a guy who would just be dominating the league to this day, but, you know, tragically died in that boating accident. But it like you said, I'm completely in agreement with what you say. I cannot get myself invested into baseball and into the Marlins until I see some type of investment from the organization itself where they're investing back. And that's going to take a few years to where these players – you know, their worth on the open market is worth millions of dollars. When the Marlins finally pay one of these guys, like they did pay Giancarlo Stanton, but that entire contract was backloaded. And you said, hey, wait till year number 4. Let's see if he's still here in year number 4. Because the first 3 years he's getting like $10 million a year. It's like, whatever, okay. Then year 4, it's like, $40 million, okay, or whatever the number was. and you knew it right away. Like, okay,
That's a Marlins special.
Yeah, they shipped them off for peanuts, just to get rid of that contract. So, no, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's one of those things I've come to accept. So.
Yeah, dude, I get it. I get it, man.
By the way, how about those Panthers, huh?
That's what I was gonna say. They just fired the GM Dale Talon just a few hours after they were eliminated in the playoffs. Like, they need to change the culture there. Like, what is it, like 25, I think 24 years since they won in the playoffs? Like, the offense is in decent shape, but the defense needs a facelift. And
they signed this goalie for $70 million, and he's terrible.
Yeah, he's like 900 saving percentage anyway.
They had a backup goalie who, while the sample size was extremely small, Chris Drieger, he had a pretty good save percentage, he had a pretty good win-loss rate, but obviously you have to play the guy who had been in that spot before, $70 million. But yeah, man, Panthers doing Panthers things, man. And that's what you get, by the way, for getting the pity invite to the NHL playoff party, because the Panthers should not have been in the playoffs. They were out of the top 16 teams. They got the pity invite because the NHL did. Here's 24 teams, and I said, I'm like,
give me the pity invite. I don't need the pity invite.
Yeah, like, dude, the Panthers got the pity invite. So the fan base is all celebrating, like, oh, we made the playoffs. Like, dude, you got the pity invite. Let's not brag about that, man.
Yeah, it's like, let's throw them
a
fucking
their ass kicked by the Islanders, man.
Yeah, I think that's like the owners negotiating so they can just get a little taste, get a few bucks before
they wanted the New York markets in there. That's why. They wanted the Islanders and the Rangers in there. The Islanders, who the Panthers played, were not qualified either. I think in the top 8. I think it was the 10th seed or something like that. But
let's not forget about Inter Miami CF, dude. I mean, Beckham's big team here, yet to get a W, but he's adorable, and we're all excited about it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I haven't gotten on that train yet, man. I did watch their first game, which was it's just so ironic that, like, I think it was the day before the first Miami FC home game, like, the season got postponed because we've been waiting for like 6 years for this team, right? Then we couldn't get them in Miami, so we got them in Fort Lauderdale to play home games. And then the day before the first home game, COVID just wiped out the sporting world. But I haven't gotten on that train yet. I'm sure I will. I got to get over this pandemic first. And then it's the same thing. Same thing with any. Like, this is not a sports-derived market. Like, we've got so many other options in terms of sports. So it'll be one of those things, like, I'll follow, but I probably won't watch, intently until they're a legitimate contender. Then I'll get into, I was there since day one.
Yeah, dude. I know. Yeah, they're going to have to put up a W before we start talking about them. That's just kind of the way it works. As, of course, if you're wanting to get talked about. All right, dude, we got to do something. I'm trying to be respectful of your time here. We'll get you out here in a little bit, but I want to play something called Hater Hall of Fame.
I hate you guys.
I hate you. I don't even know you.
You're tacky and I hate you.
All right, so obviously we like to try and keep things positive on the show here, and you're a positive guy. Mental strength is, like, the theme today, not trying to get away from any of that. But as you know, you have to be pragmatic and honest with yourself. If you feel negative feelings, rather than just stuffing them deep down inside, you have to find a healthy way to deal with them, because they're going to come out one way or another. So you got to have, rather than exploding on the wrong person at the wrong time because, the lady didn't put sour cream on your taco at Taco Bell or some shit, you got to try and find the good ways to get it out in a positive way. So what I like to do is try and provide a platform for all my guests. It could be something that is a behavior that you're seeing exuded by humans nowadays that you don't like. It could be something about yourself. It could be anything. But tell me, what's pissing you off today?
Oh, what's pissing me off today? Okay. Well, I had a very famous run-in with Dunkin' Donuts a few years ago. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this run-in.
I'm not. You got to tell me about it.
Well, we've established that I work and grind a lot. So I was working a few years ago on Christmas, and a coworker asked me to pick up a coffee. Brian the Beast London asked me to pick up a coffee at Dunkin'
Shout out
Donuts.
to the Beast.
Yeah, man. I went over to Dunkin' Donuts, at 12:55. Okay, they said on the website, on the app, and even the little sticker, the vinyl sticker that they placed on the door, that their hours were until 1 o'clock. Right? I go to open the door and it's locked. Okay, and by the way, this rant is not about Dunkin' Donuts. I'm just providing the context of what happened. Okay. I went back and forth with the person inside. I just wanted a coffee for my coworker. There was people still eating inside the store. They wouldn't let me in. They said they're closed. So I took a photo of my watch and the sticker that said they're open till 1. My watch at 12:58. I posted the sticker. I actually got destroyed on social media for that. Which, by the way, I don't care.
You're that guy. You're that guy who goes in there closing down the kitchen.
Yeah.
There's a couple.
I don't care that people killed me. That it was Christmas, and I don't care. Your sign says you're open till 1. I don't care what day it is. You're open till 1 o'clock. I don't care. I don't have pity for you. I don't feel sorry. I don't want you to go home early. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a firefighter. I worked on holidays. I don't care. Okay.
Yeah, I respect that.
so that's my famous run-in with Dunkin' Donuts. Okay, and even if you still have that opinion, I don't care. But what really makes me upset, right, is when I go somewhere, anywhere. Which, by the way, I'm a huge Chipotle fan. I love Chipotle.
Nice.
I'll still, but sometimes I go there late at night. Like they close at 10 o'clock. I go at 9:40, right, and they're out of chicken. Like, what are we doing here at this establishment that we have limited food options?
Bad management.
Your store? No. It's not even that. Like, I don't know
because they're not on stock. They don't have stock in, man. That is bad management.
Stop cooking at a certain time. I think that's like the company policy. And this is not just Chipotle, by the way. I love Chipotle. I go like 5 times a week at least. Okay.
Damn.
If you know me, you get me a Chipotle gift card.
Nice.
It's just everywhere. You know, when you go somewhere, especially a food place, and you're out of a certain item, it really makes me upset. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I go there for one purpose, and it is your food, right? Like, you turn on the radio to hear nothing on the radio? No. You go to a movie theater to watch a blank screen? No. You go to a sporting event to watch nobody play on the field? No. Where else do we get that kind of service, man?
Yeah.
Like, if I go to a food place and there's not a certain food item at the facility, you're doing it wrong, man. You're just doing it wrong.
Damn, son, I could not agree with you more, man. I'm right there with you. That was a very good, that's a good one. It's so weird how that can definitely be like, because when it happens to you, it like has such like a visceral, like palpable, like gut punch to your soul, where it's like, you're out of carne asada? Like, are you out of your fucking mind? Like, that's like what I come here for. It hurts.
Almond milk at Starbucks. What do you mean, bro? Like, come on, man. You know, and I'm never mad at the people who work there. I'm just like, I go here for one thing.
It's like the Marlins.
Or drink. Yeah. Was that?
Well, I mean, it's just you don't get mad at the players, is what I'm saying. You don't get mad at people who work there. It's the management, the front office.
For one thing, and what do you mean you don't have it? And it specifically bothers me when it's because they're closing and they don't have it. You know, like when you're at a restaurant, and they like stop cooking something. Like,
I think they're lying to you.
My problem is not that you close at 1 and your employees leave at 1. Your employees should leave at 1 if you have to clean up the store and all that kind of stuff. You should be cooking food until the last person orders. Okay?
I think that they want that. I think that they tell you that they don't have it, hoping that you'll be like, oh, whatever, and drive away, because it is a couple minutes before close and they're just fucking doing whatever they can to be able to walk out like right at 1, as opposed to actually having to stay and clean up after. You know the deal.
Now, there's been a few times where I've gone to like Chipotle at 9:50 and like they can tell they're not going to serve all this chicken, so they put a little extra chicken, you know?
Okay. Respect.
You know, I don't want to, because I love Chipotle, man. Like that's my spot. I will go there to the day I die. Ebola, I don't care. Whatever. It's not my fault. That's not my problem. You know, maybe work out a little bit more and stuff. But yeah, you know, just don't run out of food, bro. Like, come on. I need this food, bro. Look at this.
You gotta power that engine, man. You're out there doing Spartan races and shit. You gotta fucking keep it fueled up. All right, we're playing we're going to do the mental reps questionnaire. Take as long as you need, but don't overthink it. It's called the mental reps questionnaire. Got a little intro for it.
All right.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Why so serious?
What's in the box?
What does Marcellus Wallace look like?
What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Answer the question, Claire.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
You want answers!
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Is Darth Vader my father?
For real, B? I want answers.
Without a good question, a good answer has no place to go. It's time for the mental reps questionnaire.
All right.
Great movies in those quotes.
Yeah, I love that. If you could meet anyone current or historical and spend the day picking their brain, who would it be?
Wow. If I could meet anybody current or historical.
Spend the day picking their brain. Who would it be?
That's a loaded question, man.
I know. These are meant to put you on the spot.
That's okay. I can think of. I have a few people. I'm a big American history fan.
Dope.
I would like to meet. I watched a great HBO documentary series on John Adams.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that series.
Yeah, I would like to meet John Adams. I have a lot of questions. I don't know how accurate that HBO docu-series is, by the way. Like, it paints.
I know Paul Giamatti killed that shit.
Oh my God! And Laura Linney. I mean, just great series.
Yeah.
But you could tell, you could tell whoever was writing and directing it had certain political views that they made certain people look bad, and I don't know how historically accurate that is. But yeah, I think John Adams. Was he the second or third president of the United States?
I like that. I think he was the second.
Okay. I think so too. I have no idea. I can't remember. I watched like 8 years ago, but yeah.
If you had one round trip ticket in a time machine, when and where would you go?
Ooh, one round trip ticket anywhere. I'm gonna make it more current because I don't know where the hell I would go in the past, but I would like to go to New Zealand really bad. A, they're COVID free.
Oh yeah.
A, they're COVID free. B, it's a country that it has completely different climates just within the country. The north part of the country is closer to the equator. You get that tropical climate. The southern part of the country is like the more Arctic part. It's closer to the South Pole. So just a really, really diverse country, great people, and disease free.
So no specific time. This has nothing. You're taking out the time.
I'm making that question current. Like, where would I go now?
Okay. All right. Fair enough. The first one to do that. I respect it.
I have to if it was anywhere, anytime in history, I'd probably go to like ancient Greece, go hang out with like the actual Spartans, or like go do a raid with the Vikings or something, you know? like, can we like not kill these innocent women and children, please?
So if you could go anywhere in space and time, you'd want to go on a raid with Vikings.
Yeah,
I love it.
Badass, bro. That'd be badass. But at the same time, I'd be like, can we like not do all this pillaging?
Do we have to do all the rape and the pillaging? Is that really necessary, guys?
Yeah.
If you could have one if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
One superpower. Oh, this is not a superpower. I have had this conversation, like one of those like drunken conversations with your friends. I would like to speak every language that ever existed. Like human language. Yeah, it's not a superpower, but I would like the ability to like, hey, I can travel here, just communicate with you.
Universal language, bro. That's gotta be a superpower.
Be like, hey, like, speak every language. That'd be my superpower, man. That'd be super cool, man.
Nice. I like that. That's a pretty good answer.
Yeah, I have had that drunken conversation before.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah, I think ghosts are real.
Explain.
I don't know how prevalent they are. Like, I don't think ghosts are like walking around us all the time, but I think there's just such things like ghosts and haunted spirits and all that.
Any personal experiences?
No, nothing. Thank God. I mean,
right?
That would freak me out, dude. That would freak me out.
Bro, I remember watching Entertainment Tonight, or it was like fucking Hard Copy or one of those shows back in the day when I was like 7, 8 years old, and seeing a 5-second clip of The Exorcist. And it fucked with my dreams and nightmares for like 4 years, bro. I'm not even joking. Like, I would rather go skydiving 1,000 times than watch The Exorcist once. Straight up.
You haven't seen like the original Exorcist?
Nope. Not going to either, bud. I'm just not. I don't know, dude.
Like turned your head.
I got enough stress in my life, bro. I don't need the pea soup and what the fuck going down the stairs backwards. I seen the clips. I that's enough for me. Tell me someone who changed your life for the better. Tell me about somebody who changed your life for the better.
Man, I'm gonna go real easy answer here, man. My mom, dude. My mom is, my mom and dad divorced at an early age. My dad's still part of my life. Love him to death. But my mom was a single mom who raised me. Me and my brother. She went to school during the day. She worked at night. She's the one who instilled, work ethic into me, and made me. And it's something you definitely didn't appreciate until I went to college and moved out. Oh damn, I had it pretty good at home. But yeah, man, my mom definitely changed my life. Gave me a chance with a good upbringing. Instilled good work ethic in me and morals into me and all that kind of good stuff. I love my mom. Love you, Mom. Definitely, that would be my answer every time you ask that. I'll never change that answer.
Love that answer. All right, I'm a mama's boy too. Mama's boy too. If you have the world's attention for 30 seconds, what would you say?
Get off your ass and exercise. Stop watching YouTube videos and copying what they do, because they don't know how your body works and what needs to be corrected and what needs to be fixed. Find somebody, whether it's me or somebody else who has a lot of knowledge on how the human body works, and get your ass moving, because when you're 60 years old and you have a granddaughter and you can't reach down to pick her up, don't blame me. I gave you the forewarning right here.
Great answer. Dude, dope, man. I love it. I said dupe there, by the way.
There's two things people want when I meet them. It's either a better quality of life or to look good naked. Okay? Those two things.
And most of the time they got to say Brad Pitt in Fight Club, right? That's what all the dudes want to look like, Brad Pitt in Fight Club.
Listen, I don't look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. Okay?
Who does?
I like to eat, bro.
All right, dude. That's pretty much it. We got the quote of the week. I'll let you out of here. How do you feel? You feel good about it? You feel like we covered everything?
Yeah, I feel great, man. That was a lot of fun.
Awesome, dude. I'm glad you had a good time. Normally I always end it on a quote of the week, and I've actually got, man, it was really hard to narrow it down. Like I have like a page and a half of quotes here. I always narrow it down to one, but I'm going to go with two. I'll break the rules and go with two this week. First off, Thomas Jefferson, nothing can stop the man with the right mental attitude from achieving his goal. Nothing on earth can help the man with the wrong mental attitude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got me on that one because I like American history. Just covered that. But, in terms of what you're trying to do here with this podcast, Brian, and talk about, mental health, that's 1,000% true. And I work with people every day. And like I said earlier, like put something on the calendar to keep you accountable to that. And that's so whether it's a fitness event or not, maybe you have a wedding to go to or somebody's quinceañera or whatever, something, put something on the calendar to keep you accountable towards that goal, because you'll be focused on that. And if you don't have something on the calendar, something to focus on, then, what are you exercising for? What are you doing this for? At the end of the day, everybody's going to struggle, but when you have something to keep them accountable with, they're going to strive harder towards their goals. And if you don't have something in the calendar, you're not motivated, and it's hard to get that person going and get them to where they want to be.
Couldn't agree more, man. And here's the last one. This is from Horace. Adversity has the effect of eliciting talents which in prosperous circumstances would have lain dormant, which is basically the idea of, if you got everything easy all the time, that might not be exactly the best thing for you. You have talents that only are going to have a light shined on them when you have to go through the shit. And whether that is self-made, if you've got a really cush life and you got to go out there and find it yourself, or, life does it for you and you get on that fast track, whatever it is, definitely put yourself out there. You're going to, unless you test yourself, how can you know where you are at in life? And if you are trying to get better as a person, what are we doing here if we're not trying to be a better person today than we were yesterday? So it's really important to try and test yourself and and I think that you are a really good embodiment of that, man. I know that we only got to, hang out like once or twice. We saw each other at work all the time, but we haven't been able to, especially with this pandy, man. It's just been so fucking strange how we're all trying to communicate and keep up. And but I'm glad that we got to sit down and talk a little bit today. I thank you a lot for sharing your wisdom with me and the Mental Reps fam. And for sure, we're gonna have to have you back. I know that I'm planning some live events at the field. So for sure, you got to come there and drink some Guinness. It'll be on me in the field, and we'll have you out there with I'm going to have like you, like an athlete, and then like a comedian like Brett Ernst is a bud. And we're going to go out there and like drink some beers and have a good time with the audience and shit, and plug into the PA and talk some shit.
Yeah, no, and Brian, I think it's great what you're doing, kind of spotlighting this aspect. I'm a big believer in mental health. It also comes down to when you're exercising the way I exercise, sometimes it's just, hey, take a bath, bro. Go and take a bath and light a candle and just think to yourself for 10 minutes. I know that sounds very feminine, but I'm a huge bald bearded guy, and I
fuck
do that.
All that. Put on the Kenny G, lay that light the scented candle.
Dude, you got to do it because sometimes you just need to, pause everything that's going on in your life and sort out what's going on through your head. And that's, I'm a very big believer in mental health. And that's why I was like really excited to come on here. And I think what you're doing is great, Brian. And I definitely look forward to hanging out with you again, man, whether it's here or live in person at the field with some brewskis. But I definitely appreciate what you're doing here, Brian.
Oh, thanks, man. It means a lot, dude. And we'll definitely do this again soon. And just take care of yourself. I love what you're doing with everything at the house. Got the gym going there. Keep up the great work. I'm sure a lot of people are benefiting from you, and keep on spreading that positivity, man. We need it, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, you got it, Brian. Looking forward to it, man. Take care.
All right, buddy. Take care of yourself. Talk soon.
All right, buddy.